Well, hi.
Hi.
Oh.
Remember me? Hi.
Oh, I do remember you.
Yeah.
You were Nancy
Leonard.
Yeah. Well,
You're Arthur. English.
Like
Yeah.
like easy English.
So here we are in New York again.
Da 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 da.
You know, the interesting thing about being here in New York again is we could actually, when you think about it, be in any city.
Yeah.
Today we could be in New York. Next week we could be in Paris. We could be like, roving jet setters.
I mean, really?
Yeah. But we're in New York today. So as you can see from behind us, we're still here. We're still in New York. So.
Hey, but listen, we saved so much money on the production travel, right?
Yeah, we didn't and caterers.
Yeah, exactly.
Lately, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, of course.
Truth is stranger than fiction. I mean, when you think of what is being thrown at us every single day on television.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Melania Trump for a minute. Did you see that the other night?
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, so they say that she took actual passages from Michelle Obama's speech.
Yes.
And she said them as her own. She gave them as her own thoughts. The woman, when I watched her that night, I was captivated by her because of her beauty.
Yeah.
And really sort of mesmerized by her speech. I had no idea she had it in her. But when you think about it, really, truly, do men really care what she says? They just want to look at her.
That's a great
even
point.
women, do we really care what Melania Trump has to say?
First of all, you don't believe anything about her situation. I mean, she's lovely, she's beautiful. And why would she choose Donald Trump of all people,
I think it was, she fell in love with him years ago when he was a young playboy. And, they've been together for, many, many years and have a son named Barron.
Right, yeah.
Barron.
I
mean, it's like, all these people name their kids royalty.
Right.
Prince,
Yeah.
Princess, Baron, Earl.
How about Tiffany, 57th Street and 5th Avenue? I mean,
Tiffany, she must. We could probably see her building.
It's over there. You see it?
Yeah, we could probably see her building.
In fact, I can see the diamonds right through the window.
But do people really care what Melania has to say? I mean, in a way, yes. Did she plagiarize? Absolutely. Come on. And the fact that the Trump organization is saying those were her words, those how she felt.
Absolutely.
It came from her heart. Now, what I find very interesting about this whole thing, okay, I don't know if you've thought about this or anybody's thought about this, but I don't want to belabor this to death, but what I thought was the most interesting thing about the Melania Trump thing is that the next day nobody got fired. Nobody got fired. Nobody got axed. Nobody got axed. I mean, that isn't Donald Trump's behavior. He fires, he axes. Why do you think no one did?
I don't know whether or not he really knew that her speech was plagiarized. I don't think so. I think that he would have never done that. I don't think that for sure she would have never have gone along with that. I mean, she's a very chic woman. I mean, but first of all, when you thought of her talking in front of 20,000 people, I mean, how many people would say, "Oh, it's just going to be a piece of cake for her," and she did a beautiful job.
But you didn't answer my question. Why do you think that no one got fired, axed, whatever, after she did that? Well, after she made that speech. She made that speech, clearly the next day, the press was on it. They were able to say that categorically the truth, that she lifted passages. Why do you think no one got the axe?
Well, because I think his last speechwriter and press guy and public relations guy, he got fired. I don't think he could have afforded another person getting fired on the staff.
Ask me why I think no one got fired.
Okay, well, I'd like to ask you a question. Why don't you think that nobody got fired?
I think that nobody got fired because she actually did do it herself. I think what happened was, from what I understand, the son-in-law, Ivanka Trump's husband, hired 2 speechwriters to write this speech for her.
Right.
The speech in its entirety and how she delivered it had no relevance to a lot of what they said. So somewhere between the time that they wrote the speech for her and she delivered the speech for her, she obviously Googled passages off of the internet that she liked. I think that's the reason no one got in trouble, because she's the one who actually took those passages and lifted them and put them in her speech. That's what I think.
I think that's very creative, very inventive.
And he can't get angry at his own wife.
Right. And here's what I thought also.
So, you know.
Well, you know what? They, like everybody has a short memory. So I thought that they didn't, that they let it go because, you know what? If they didn't talk about it and if they didn't point fingers at her, she comes off as a beautiful and innocent woman who just was talking about Donald and how beautiful and how wonderful he is.
She actually wasn't talking much about the Donald. She was really spending more time lifting passages from Michelle Obama's speech. But anyway, I don't know. That's just, like I said, that's just my opinion. I think that nobody got in trouble because she's the one who did it. I'll never forget a story from years ago. I was working for this gentleman, and he was a very, very wealthy man. He was a stockbroker, and he had his own division of a stock brokerage house. He was an elderly gentleman, and he was married to the Countess, something or something, von Bimbo. You know what I mean? She was a real bimbo. So he was this, she was this Hungarian bombshell, and he was like, he could barely walk. He shook when he walked, So he found that somebody was spending fortunes on his American Express card.
Oh, wow.
And he called me up to his podium one day. He sat on a podium, and I would have to go up to the podium to speak with him, like he was the king. Calls me up there one day, and he goes, "We have a problem." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He goes, "Someone's stealing on my American Express card. I want you to hire a private investigator." So I said, "Sure, but possibly it's your wife. I think it might be your wife." He goes, if I don't pay you to think." Right. I don't pay you to think.
I just pay you so I can kvetch.
So I hire a private investigator, and the private investigator comes to the office.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks, he's detailing every item on the American Express bills, on every other bill. And of course, it turns out to be his wife. She did it.
Yeah.
But he ends up screaming at me, right? Because for some reason, I should have been more astute about it. Anyway, my point is that it's the wife. The wife did it. Melania did it. They don't want to, lay her out on the carpet. They want her to come across with her 7 languages and all this other stuff, which, by the way, who knows? I mean, when you live in Europe or Slovenia or wherever you live, you do know 7 languages because everybody's this close to you. You got neighbors all over the place that speak other languages. So everybody speaks 7 languages. Did she really go to college? Yes, they say she went to a university in Slovenia, right?
That's
in
real.
Slovenia. Where? The University of Slovenia?
Hey.
At, which campus? I mean, which campus? Anyway, the truth of the matter is, who cares?
Well, that's the whole point.
Who cares?
That's the whole point.
I mean, she's a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Men don't give a crap what's coming out of her mouth as long as she's wearing a beautiful dress and looks beautiful. So what's the difference?
But it's something else. It's something else. And I agree with everything
We're
you've been
making such
saying.
a thing out of this whole thing.
A woman is talking about Donald Trump. She's married to the guy. Every time you see her, she's either coming down the escalator,
the marble stairway,
the escalator, but she's always either in the back or in the front of Donald. Okay, so he is like she's always trailing him. Correct. But the point is, I don't agree with you about Melania. I believe it was lifted, and it was lifted by a speechwriter who said, "You know what? I'll just use these passages." Easy. But here's the thing. she was able, in many ways, to transpose some of the sentences.
No. See them next to each other. They're the exact same words. They're the exact same words. And his people are trying to say, well, these are common thoughts. These are things that would come out of all of us. Well, frankly, they wouldn't come out of me. I wouldn't even think to put this stuff down.
But here's the point.
Michelle Obama was a Harvard-educated lawyer.
Yeah.
Melania went to the University of Slovenia. I mean, come on. Anyway, I don't want to belabor this point. It's not that important. I just thought I would bring it up.
I agree with you. And you know what?
It's clearly not an important topic.
It isn't.
You know, when I was coming here today, this is funny. When I was coming here today, I was walking behind this, I would say sort of a woman in maybe her 20s and 30s, and she was walking 14 dogs. 14 dogs. I counted them. 14 dogs, all different sizes. I mean, it was unbelievable. And around her belt, she was wearing this big belt, and around the belt she had things hanging. There were water bottles. There were doggy poop baggies. There was a scooper, right? There was a cell phone. I mean, she had more stuff around her than a cop. You know what I'm saying? And then she's walking 14 dogs. You can't get around her. The whole sidewalk's taken up by these dogs. It is amazing when you think about it. What do you see the most of in this city?
Dog walkers and people who walk other people's babies.
You see pets. You see dogs.
Yeah.
Everybody has a dog. I mean, it's wonderful. Where would we be without these roommates who can unconditionally love us? That's the greatest thing about having pets. There are so many pets on the street, and there's so many babies on the street. And what's interesting about it all is there's always a nanny to walk the pet and the baby at the same time. Right. Unless you can hire this woman to walk your dog along with 14 other dogs.
Right.
Now, these dogs are more social than I am. I mean, and so I don't have that many people to walk with. Look how many people, the dogs, they have so many people to walk with.
Well,
anyway.
I'm interested in the fact that how do they pick all the dogs that seem to get along with each other? And they're all walking at the same gait, and they sort of are doing their own thing. And whether it's a big dog or a small dog or a pedigree, they just
pedigrees don't walk with other dogs.
The walkers have figured out. But I say, how do they go? Do they go to the people's apartments? Do they have to go through the doorman? I mean, the film about just getting these people coming in and remembering, I could never do this job because I definitely would lose the keys. I would definitely not.
Or the dogs, which would be worse.
The dogs, forget it. We are like.
Well, what they do is people hire these people, and then every morning they go around and they have a list of which apartment to go to on a route, like a paper route. Only it's a pick up your dog route. And have a list, and they pick up each dog, and before you know it, they have like 14 of them, and they walk them to the park for an hour. The dogs love it because dogs are very social. They'd rather be out walking with 14 other dogs than be home, sitting on the couch by themselves waiting all day for their masters.
Reading the paper.
Yeah. I mean, I had a dog years ago, Rudy. You remember Rudy? And I didn't have a dog walker for Rudy, but I did take him to daycare every day. I mean, I would go to work, and before I went to work, I would take Rudy over to daycare. It was down the block, and for, $20 a day or something like that, I could drop my dog off in the morning and pick him up at night. It made my life easier because I didn't have guilt, which is the worst thing you can have when you have an animal. Is guilt. You're always guilty. I got to get home. I got to take him out for a walk. I got to get water. Oh my God, he has to. He needs his medicine. So I didn't have any guilt. I would drop Rudy off in the morning and pick him up at night. My dog didn't socialize with other dogs, though, when he went to daycare. So I was paying to take my dog to daycare so that he could lie down behind the cash register and go to sleep there. But anyway, it assuaged my guilt. But pets are very important in New York City. You know, we need them. They give us unconditional love, and who doesn't want that?
So I heard that. I just clearly remember the day you got him.
Really, yes.
I was on the other side of the United States, and I got a phone call from you, and you said, "You won't believe this dog that I've seen." And I came to the apartment, and there he was, this little fluff ball.
Yeah, I got him at 3 months old. He would look like a little mop.
Absolutely.
You know, and the interesting, I had never had an animal before.
No, wait a second. Isn't this where your mother didn't want you to have an animal?
Well, my mother didn't allow us to have animals,
Yeah,
so I think
thought
the
so.
only animal I ever had, if it's, do you call a turtle an animal?
Turtles.
Okay, so my mother allowed us to have a turtle as a child, but she didn't allow us to have, cats or dogs. And eventually I decided it was time in my life to get a dog. So in those days, we didn't know not to buy our animals from a pet store. And there used to be a pet store on 72nd Street. I walked by it every single day. One day I walked in there, and there was this little white fluff ball in the window. I had to have him. So I went in, and I laid down $900 for him, because not only did I buy him, but I had to buy everything that went with him. I had to buy all the toys, all the food, or I had to buy the gate to keep him in the kitchen because he was being trained. I had to buy everything. I came home, I was laden down. Besides the dog, I was laden down with stuff. I went to work the next day, and I put the gate up in my kitchen. And to secure it, just in case, I took gaffer's tape. Gaffer's tape is this, very heavy tape that electricians use in the film business, to hang lights and hang wire. I wrapped the gate around from wall to wall. I put tons of tape on it, and I left to go to work, thinking, what a piece of cake. Why do people complain? It's easy. I come home that night, my dog's at the front door. Somehow he had gnawed through all this tape, and he had gotten out. I knew I was in trouble. I sort of screamed, and I said, what did I do? What did I do? But, I had him for 16 years. He was the love of my life. I used to call him the English patient because he had so many little illnesses and operations. But he was a puppy mill dog. They told me when I got him that he was a pedigree. He was a puppy mill dog. So he was quite the dog, Rudy. He was quite an incredible dog. I have a friend, a very close friend. She has 2 dogs and a cat. And what is so funny about her animals are, whenever they do something bad, she doesn't have to say a word. They know they did something bad, and they immediately go into their little cages and sort of punish themselves. They take a time out all by themselves. It's great. It's just terrific. I mean, how could you not love a pet, an animal?
Well, I had a rabbit.
Right, you had a rabbit.
I had a rabbit, and his name was Fluff.
Fluffy, of course.
I was walking down the street one day, and this woman had this rabbit. And she was very attractive, and she said,
"Who, the rabbit or the
both of
woman?"
Them. Well, here's this. Here, I don't remember even what she looks like, but here she was cuddling this rabbit. I thought it was a toy. So I look at her, and it's like I said, "What kind of rabbit is that?" And she said, "Angora." I said, "Angora." I said, "Like the wool?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "How much are you selling that rabbit for?" She said, $75. I said, "I'll buy it." So the first mistake I made is not understanding that rabbits have to go to the bathroom all the time.
All of us.
But every 3 minutes, a little pellet.
And when you get older, sometimes you have to go every 3 minutes.
But pellets could come out.
Yeah.
And then, as she was giving me this rabbit, the rabbit had to do a number 1. So now I haven't even bought this rabbit. I haven't even taken my money out. And now this rabbit, Angora, white Angora, has peed on my jacket.
Okay, I think this is too much information
Okay.
for me.
However,
I think I've had enough. Too much.
Well, however, it didn't stop there. I decided to get attention. So there was a street fair, and I brought the rabbit to the street fair, and everybody kept on asking me questions about the rabbit.
Did you clean it first?
No. It cost me $35 to have this
Yeah.
cat, to have this rabbit coiffed, because it got all filled of wool.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was an interesting story. So let's talk about something else.
dear.
This conversation is for the
Yeah.
it's for the birds, but I think birds would be.
Well,
more
it is for the birds. I know
birds-
somebody who
birds are
had a
more-
bird.
Birds are more interesting in this conversation.
I had a bird. I knew someone had a bird. The poor thing, he stepped on it.
Yeah, well, all of us in a certain period of time, we all had parakeets. And I remember my parakeet was called Trixie, and what he would do is we let him out of the cage. He'd land on my thing, but we had to go one step further. There was a show where a woman had her parakeets by the television screen.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we take Trixie in the cage and bring it over to the screen, so he could like make noise with his, communicate with his fellow birds.
Oh,
Parakeets.
yeah. Well, I have I have a friend who has a parrot, one of these great parrot talks. Parrot's name is Roxy, and Roxy sings along to that song, "I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar." It's just hysterical. It's so funny, and when the word "roar" comes, the parrot goes like this.
No. No.
Yeah, it's great. Roxy's great.
No.
Roxy's great. Roxy is, she taught Roxy, speaking of bathroom situations, she taught Roxy to go to the bathroom. But Roxy's an amazing bird. That bird can do anything, say anything, imitates people. I mean, it's great. It's great. So, I just think that, people and their pets, you can tell a lot about a person by the way they treat an animal. You can tell a lot about a person, of course, especially the way they treat their own animals, because they are children to us. They're our children. I have a cat now. My life revolves around my cat in many ways. I have to schedule my time away to make sure my cat is well taken care of, that there's somebody to take care of them. I need to know that the weather's going to be okay, so I don't want to leave my cat in a hot apartment. I have to make sure I have the right amount of food always, so that when I go, there should be no problems at all. I mean, I really have to take care of this animal. It's my responsibility, and I love it. But they are my child. They are my child, and I think a lot of us feel that way about our animals.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's, I think a lot of us definitely feel that way about our animals. And it's lovely. It's lovely. So.
It might be said that I'm sort of your cat sitter.
Well, you do take care of my cat.
Yeah.
The nice thing about you is you do take care of my cat. I have taught you well. I'm very fortunate that you do that for me, and I thank you very much. And I've had to train you how to take care of my animal.
Yeah, no question.
I had to show you exactly how to do the water, how to do the
question.
litter, and
No.
I had to make sure you knew exactly where everything was.
No,
and
it's
yes, of course. I mean, it's very important that I trust you with things.
No,
Entrust you with that. Yes.
It's a great opportunity
Yes.
to protect myself from forgetting.
And my wrath.
So what I do,
Don't forget my wrath. You have to protect
so what I
yourself
do
from my wrath.
is I walk in, and I have this. Okay, now that you're in the apartment, make a left turn.
You have a checklist.
And find the water.
Yeah.
And I'll go to here and now take this other cup of water, and then what I do is I open up the cat food, and then I take the cat food and I put it into a certain bag, and then what I do is I clean the and then I do that, and I'm exhausted. I'm sweating, and I have to go back and forth. I have to go to the super and say, look, is this right? And I have a checklist, like you're going to fly an airplane.
Well, that's lovely, and I appreciate it. And I don't want to, you don't, know about really having that kind of a pet in your life where you have them for 17 years or something, but that is your child. So, all I want to say is I'll say one thing about animals, and then I thought about this, and I thought, now I plagiarized it. I didn't write this. I plagiarized it. I don't know who said it, but I got to tell you, I didn't say it. Okay. I did plagiarize it. But I read somewhere it says, once you've had a wonderful pet, a life without it is a life diminished.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I was going out with a wonderful woman, and she had a dog named Warren. And Warren was one of those black and white dogs that are beautiful. They have a great tail, And
great tail.
The funny thing about this particular dog is that this dog lost its hearing. But I was on the beach one day, and she had brought the dog to Fire Island. And suddenly I look up, and this dog is running to me. And it comes over to me. It ran maybe about a quarter of a mile. It found me on the beach, and it was so affectionate. It jumped all over me, and it was so warm because. But when he did pass to doggy heaven, I'll never forget the way he looked. And to this day, I feel very tender about it.
Doggy heaven. Do you know what doggy heaven is? Doggy heaven. There's a place in heaven called the Rainbow Bridge. And they say when your pet dies, they go to the Rainbow Bridge. And what they do there is they wait for you until you get there.
Wow.
And when you get there, you cross the Rainbow Bridge together. So it's a beautiful thing. I always think that when I go to heaven, my dog Rudy is going to be waiting at the Rainbow Bridge for me. He'll probably be sleeping, but at least he'll be there. You know what I'm saying?
That's very fantastic.
Yes.
So actually,
yes,
I never heard this story.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. Most people who have animals, they know about the Rainbow Bridge. But what it is it gives you you're going to see your animal again. You're going to be seeing your animal again. And that's a beautiful thing. You lived with them for 16 years, and someday you're going to see your animal again. So, like I said, the best thing is really about life sometimes is that your dogs and cats, they love you unconditionally. They love you with their heart, and they show you with their tail. Anyway, we got to go soon, so we only have a few more minutes, and I don't want to belabor all of that except to have time to say, goodbye. This is our 12th show that we've done. Isn't that amazing? So I'm going to leave it to you to wrap up the show. I like to leave it to you because you can go on and on, so I'm going to leave you wrap up the show. Go ahead.
You know what? It's been a pleasure to listen to Nancy. She always has some wonderful stories, and it's very charming. And I hope you guys, especially on the West Side, really know her, see her, and really when she's,
I don't want you to know me.
When she's walking down the block.
I don't want you to know me. Tell them when we're on and all of that, because we don't have much more time.
So we're coming up on this Wednesday at 7:30 on channel 56. And it's Time Warner, of all things. We're being seen all over the world, and Rainbow Bridge.
And New York.
My name is Arthur English.
And I'm Nancy Leonard. And like I said, here we are in New York.
We are in New York. Take care. Bye. Bow wow. Bow wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Let's make a dub of this.
He did make a dub already.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your thing off.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's just put it on the air. Let's not even look at it. Let's just put it on the air. We have nothing else. Just put it on the air. Let's get it on.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll load it up and we'll just go.
Yeah.
Just give the mic here.
Huh?
We'll give the mic here.
Yeah, just this computer right here is perfect.